Protected Health Information, or PHI, defined by HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability Accountability Act. PHI is any data that may be used to identify a person. Some examples of PHI are identifiers that can be found on an ID card, a social security number, a birth date, a geographic region that's smaller than a state, telephone numbers, fax numbers, email addresses, web URLs, IP addresses, medical record numbers, health plan beneficiary numbers, account numbers, certificate numbers, license numbers, and serial numbers. Also images, and biometric identifiers like fingerprints or a voice print. For PHI security purposes, it is important to always use a RICAN-approved device to connect to the network. RICAN policies and procedures create a secure environment for accessing and using PHI. If PHI is mishandled, HIPAA has established mandatory reporting requirements. First, report any unauthorized PHI disclosure to your supervisor. Next, you will be given specific instructions. If you are the person who discovered the incident, you will be asked to report the course of action that led up to the discovery. Additionally, you will be asked to provide copies of IMs and emails related to the incident. These are then kept in a designated file. To prevent improperly disclosed PHI, here is a list of do's and don'ts. Do. Take standard precautions against traditional intrusion means. For example, use de-identifying information when possible and only use PHI when necessary. Do. Be aware that you are connecting to another network and only connect to trusted internet services like online meetings through Link. Do tell your supervisor immediately if you have a hardware or software failure. He or she will determine the best course of action. Don't turn your machine off in case of a hardware or software failure. Don't share PHI with just anyone. Don't modify the security settings on your machine. Network administrators handle virus detection, updates, and administer firewall settings for you. RICAN uses several systems to prevent malware from invading the network. The network administrators manage updates from within the network. If you get pop-ups telling you to update your machine, ask your supervisor if you need to take any action. Don't adjust any security settings unless someone from IT or an executive directs you to do so. Don't open questionable attachments. Don't use portable storage devices unless absolutely necessary. Don't include PHI in emails. Additionally, if you fail to authenticate 3 times, you will quickly receive a call. RICAN has set privileges on the network to help protect PHI by allowing appropriate levels of access to information based on user privileges. These are determined by User Provisioning Forms, or UPF, which are completed by your supervisor. If your access rights need to be adjusted, your supervisor will need to complete a new UPF and submit the form to the COO for approval. He or she reviews the UPF and submits it to the network administrator, who will adjust your access privileges. Trust that the network will prevent you from going places you should not go. Let's talk about who uses PHI. There are 3 categories of staff at RICAN. There's product support, software developers, and other employees. Although all RICAN staff are trained to properly handle PHI, only product support and software developers routinely access it. Before you share PHI, take a minute to consider if you actually need to use patient information. If you can accomplish your goals with de-identified data and fabricated dates, you should. When you sprint test or evaluate RICAN product features, You will be directed to use a set of data that has been de-identified or fabricated for testing purposes. If you're ever unsure whether you should be using a de-identified or fabricated data set, feel free to ask your supervisor.